What do you think were some of your faults this past year as treasurer, and how do you plan to improve on them?
One of the most common pieces of feedback that I received after we did the e-board reviews is a piece of feedback that I've also heard from other places, like such as my internships, and that was that I should contribute more to board meetings and share my opinion more readily, which is something that I have difficulty doing with large groups. And I'm continuously trying to improve that. So this year, I hope that if I am reelected, I will be able to contribute more of my opinions and be able to shape more of the things that we talk about during board meetings.
Um, what is the most important lesson you learned while serving as a member of the elected board last semester?
I think one of the most important things that I learned is a lot of the small things that go into having a cohesive group of leaders, because in a group of 16 people, everyone has different leadership styles, personality traits, um, different ways that they handle themselves and tackle problems. And I think sometimes that can get very complicated. But I learned how it's very important to understand people and what motivates them in order to be able to understand them clearly as a person and be able to work as a group functionally.
Since you'll be a senior, how do you see yourself maintaining a fair balance between committing yourself to Troy Phi duties while pursuing your professional goals?
Well, Troy Phi is my only organization that I'm currently involved in at USC. So in terms of that, this is the same like workload that I had last year. And I also was able to balance my time last year as treasurer in terms of pursuing my professional interests, because I still have had to do internship searches last year and have to handle going to a bunch of interviews and sending in applications for those. And I was able to manage my time effectively then. So I don't think it will be a problem now going into my senior year.
How would you go about navigating any conflicts within board?
Well, if if it's a conflict that I have to get involved in, because ideally the conflict between the two people, they would be able to handle themselves. But if they need a mediator, then I would be happy to help them solve this conflict. And I think as a mediator, it's very important to understand both sides of the story and try to be as impartial as possible and as objective as possible, and try not to focus on things that happened in the past and have it turn into a game of he said, she said, but instead focus on solutions and ways to move forward in the future to prevent this conflict from occurring again.
What are some investments Troy Phi should make next year?
Can you elaborate on investments? Like what type of investments?
That is all the question said. You can take it however you want.
Okay. Well, I like to, I guess one thing I've been thinking of is thinking of ways to give back more to our members. And I think one of the things that I personally really enjoyed, and I also have heard other people enjoy, is making merch. So I would like to work with the directors of media on that and be able to get a lot of new merch for next year, whether that's like windbreakers, which we had a couple years ago, which I really liked. The stickers we had this year were really fun as well. And maybe like tailgate merch or baseball caps or something like that.
Besides your experience as a former Troy Fire treasurer, what else do you think sets you apart as a candidate?
Yeah, like I mentioned a little bit in my speech, I'm a student in the business school, so I think that the things that I'm studying in school align well with the duties of treasurer. So I learned a lot about finances and things like preparing financial statements and how to analyze large amounts of data and numbers. And then also I've had a lot of internships where I've been able to put these things that I've learned in school into practice.